Buying anything in GTA Online these days is expensive, especially in recent years. You want to buy the Mark II oppressor? $8 million, please. How about the new Coquette D10 police car? Well, that's going to run you north of $5.5 million. But what if you had unlimited money and were looking to purchase everything? Have you ever wondered how much money it would take to buy everything in GTA Online? Well, I have, and I actually tried searching around for this and came up relatively empty. I found Google searches that had a total based on everything up to the Tuners update, which was a while ago. I found individuals that gave a rough estimate, and then there was just a lot of the approximations based on a few of the more expensive categories. Well, what you're about to see today is a complete and total cost breakdown as of right now, which at the time of this video is January 1st, 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. Now, there are some caveats, which I'll cover in each section, but this is a very comprehensive list. And I'm not too proud to tell you that this is by far the most time and effort I've ever put into a single video. This wasn't something I whipped up in a day or two. This video was several weeks in the making. So, yeah, liking and subscribing would definitely mean a lot. And to show my appreciation, I'm going to include the actual spreadsheet I use to gather all this data. You'll see a link to it attached in the description below. Okay, so right off the bat, this video is going to be rather long in order to cover every aspect of the items on this list. So to make this more convenient, I've dropped some timestamps below so you can jump to any section you like and check out the totals. Also, before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to the sites I used to collect all this data. There were some random one-off sites I used for some of the more specialized items, but the majority of what you're about to see came from two separate sites, GTAbase.com and GTA Wiki. Again, I'll drop links below. And finally, the last disclaimer before we jump in, and to put it bluntly, I'm not perfect. This may come as a shock to some of you, but there's a lot of data here, and as much as I tried to double and triple check my numbers, ensure I gathered all the correct categories, and combed through as much as I could to ensure there were no duplications, I'm only human, which is why I'm providing the actual spreadsheet that I used. If you see any inconsistencies or issues, by all means, update the sheet as necessary and drop a comment below to let everyone else know. Alright, let's dive into this. I've separated each item into 7 basic categories. Number 1, autos, or on-the-ground vehicles. Number 2, aircraft, which are air vehicles. Number 3, boats, in the water vehicles. Number 4, businesses. Number 5, weapons. Number 6, property. And finally, number 7, clothing. Now, there are some key items you'll need to understand before we proceed. The prices you're seeing are non-trade prices. I'm including the most expensive tier for each vehicle selected. I'm doing this because in order to unlock the trade prices, you'll have had to complete certain missions. And not everyone has done this or will do this, so this keeps everything on a level playing field. Next, these are non-discounted prices. Rockstar constantly puts many of these vehicles up on sale, but it's usually only for a limited time, so every price you see here is going to be the full meal deal. Also, these prices and vehicles only represent GTA Online, not Story Mode, because there are differences. Where applicable, all options are selected. This is mainly just for the vehicles, and I also did not include anything purchasable with chips. As you know, you can purchase a lot of merchandise at the casino using casino chips, but I did not include these items. I did this because, well, there's 2 methods of accumulating these items. You can purchase casino chips with money, or you can win them via gambling. And because gambling isn't included in everyone's GTA experience, I did not think it was fair to include items purchasable with casino chips. Next, there are crossovers. For instance, in the automobile section, I'm including the Mark II, even though this is a flying vehicle. It's technically listed as a motorcycle by Rockstar, which is why I'm keeping it in the auto section. Same goes for the Deluxo, Scramjet, etc. You'll also see vehicles such as the Toreador listed in the auto section as well, and not the boat section. And finally, I did my best to comb through all the items that are purchasable in GTA Online. However, the time of this video, and more importantly, at the time of capturing all this information from the various websites mentioned earlier, there were some items that were listed as free. And if you're familiar with Rockstar, we see this all the time. Now, this was mainly an issue with the clothing. As you know, and usually on a weekly basis, Rockstar will circulate various clothing items for free. And so I just want everyone to know that if I came across items listed as free, they were not included in this list. So, without further ado, here are the totals. First up, the autos. This is by far the largest category outside of clothing, and by far the most expensive. The grand total here for this category is $682,478,849. Yeah, that's a lot of dinero. I've included this category as the on-the-ground category, and it has everything you'll use on the ground, notwithstanding the Mark II or Toreador, etc. mentioned earlier. And as I already stated, this list is up to date. You'll see that it does include the latest Coquette D10 Pursuit, but not the yet-to-be unlocked vehicles such as the Iron Mule or the Titan 250. In all, there are 20 different categories listed here. Alright, so what are we looking at? Across the top, you'll notice all the categories, and then for each category, there's a column that will include the name of the car with the manufacturer, along with the price of said car. For this video, I've sorted each column of vehicles from least expensive to most expensive. I'm not going to go through them all, but as an example, for the supercar section, the least expensive vehicle is the Coil Voltic at $150,000. And the most expensive supercar is going to be the Classy Scramjet at approximately $4.6 million. Now, if you were to purchase all the vehicles in the supercar category, it's going to cost you just over $112 million. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but some items of note. If you're looking for the most expensive vehicle on this list, and probably to the surprise of nobody, it's going to be the Pegasus Oppressor Mark II at $8 million. The least expensive vehicle on this list, outside of the bicycles, which are also on this list, but the least expensive motorized vehicle is going to be the Karen Rusty Rebel, coming in at just $3,000. Also of note, if you're looking for the most expensive category, it's going to be the sports car column, coming in at just over $119 million. However, the main reason for this is it has the most vehicles in the class. If I utilize this cool little Excel feature, there's a total of 110 vehicles in this class. Now, compare this with the emergency vehicle category. There's a total of 17 vehicles in this class. The new Inverto Coquette D10 Pursuit being the most expensive. The total in this category is a whopping $73,607,000. So, as far as the most expensive class goes, well, you're looking at it. It's the emergency class. Alright, next up is the aircraft. This one's pretty straightforward. There's only two categories listed as planes and then helicopters. The grand total here is $157,538,550. Okay, so taking a closer look at these, in the planes category, there's a total of 37 airplanes you can purchase, the least expensive being the Western Company Cuban 800 at $240,000, and the most expensive being the $10 million Buckingham Luxor Deluxe. Now, you'll notice I highlighted both the Luxor Deluxe and the Basic Luxor. If you're a newbie and are unaware, there's absolutely zero difference between the two, outside of the color. You see, if you purchase the Deluxe, you'll be treated to a Basic Deluxe painted gold. Yeah, that's right. And what's probably the most expensive paint job in the history of GTA, you'll be paying over $8 million to have your Basic Luxor Deluxe painted the color gold. Similarly, if you look at the helicopters, the same goes for the Buckingham Swift and the Swift Deluxe. For an extra $3.5 million, you too could have your Basic Swift painted gold. Now, you'll also notice the yellow highlighted items here, the Sparrow and the Avenger. I did this because I'm including these in other categories, but I'm only listing the prices here. You'll know more what I mean as we continue on. Next, we have the boats. Again, this one's pretty straightforward. There's only 16 specific boats in this category, coming in at a somewhat reasonable $14,264,920. Of note, and as mentioned earlier, you'll notice you will not see the Toreador or the Stromberg listed here. They're in the auto section. And you'll notice that the Kasaga has no price listed here as well. That's because I've included this item in the property section, which I'll get to shortly. And this is a great point in the video to remind everyone not to get too worried about where certain items fall in each category. Remember, the main point of this video is to highlight the overall cost to purchase everything in this game. So, regardless of where the item falls is irrelevant. Okay, so if we take a closer look at the boats, you're going to see that the Speedophile Sea Shark is the least expensive at $16,899, and the most expensive is going to be the Kasaga Sub, but again, I'll talk about this a little bit later. That's why there's no price tag here. But if we omit that one, the most expensive boat is going to be the Kurtz 31 patrol boat at $2.9 million. Next up, we have the businesses. The grand total for the businesses comes in at $107,041,900. Now, there are some very important caveats in this category. The first being that I did not include the vehicles that either came with or were offered with the business. For example, you'll notice the Brigade 6x6 with the Acid Lab and the tow truck with the salvage yard are blank. This is because they were already included in the auto section, and I tried to avoid counting items twice. Secondly, I've included the most expensive location for each business where applicable. My goal here is to provide the most comprehensive total cost for the player. This will include the most expensive location and all the options you can acquire for each business. Also, keep in mind that I have not included the daily fees and expenses for each business. Obviously, this is going to be different from player to player, so when you see the final cost for everything, just know that it's actually going to be a little more because I'm leaving this part out. Okay, so looking closer at the businesses, you'll first notice, well, there's a lot of them. If we scroll to the right, you'll see that I included the yachts here. It was a toss-up between putting them here or the boat section, and because you can actually perform missions and receive money from them, well, this is why I included them here. Of note, the most expensive business on this list is the special cargo business, which kind of makes sense. This is definitely one of the top businesses in the game, and when it's offered at double money, you're going to be walking away with some very sizable profits. However, you'll notice that this category is next to the MC business, and if you look at the total cost for this business, it's only like $66 less than the cargo business, and this is insane. Probably the most lopsided cost to profit ratio is this business, and this is still after Rockstar gave this business a bit of a buff. You can see that if you want to own it all, you'll be paying for a lot of items in this category, from the clubhouse to each of the different businesses within the MC business, and then all the upgrades. If you're a newbie, you probably want to focus on other, more profitable businesses to start with. Okay, next on the list, weapons. This category has the dubious distinction of being the least expensive category, coming in at a paltry $7,693,050. One should easily be able to purchase all the weapons included in this game. However, if you're a newbie, don't get too excited here because some of these weapons will only unlock after you reach a certain level. The weapons category is also quite unique when it comes to expenses. For instance, there's going to be some expenses you'll need to purchase over and over again, which again will increase the total cost you see at the end. So just keep this in mind. In the weapons category, this will include ammo and certain throwables, such as sticky bombs and jerry cans. So again, the final price tag is a bit of a misnomer. Also, this list does not, for good reason, include those weapons with no price tag, meaning they are obtained or unlocked via missions or can be found or located for free. The WM-29 pistol and the Shocker are perfect examples. Okay, the weapons category is pretty straightforward. The heavy weapons category is, not shockingly, going to be your most expensive category, and part of the reason why is that it does contain the most expensive weapon, which is going to be the railgun. coming in at $730,000. Also, interesting sidebar here, in typical Rockstar fashion, you'll notice under the melee weapons, I'll have to shell out $50 more for a broken bottle than I will for a grenade. Up next, the properties. This category is probably the most diversified, for lack of better terms. In this group, you're looking at a total cost of $45,768,000. You can see that I've lumped everything in two groups. In the upper group, these are simply the buildings that you either sleep in or store your vehicles in. And the lower group, which are technically properties in which you can store some of your things in, but also money-making property, if that makes any sense. Again, remember, don't get too hung up on the categories. It's the item price and the overall cost that's important. Also, of note, for the upper group, I'm including only the top most expensive properties. I'm doing this because A, you can only purchase 10 properties, and B, this is a top tier most expensive list. And you'll see as you can scan from left to right that this is true for each of these items. I've picked the most expensive casino penthouse, the most expensive office building, and the top 10 most expensive garages. Okay, so for the upper group, it's pretty self-explanatory. For the lower group, you'll see some highlighted items with no price tag. This was what I was mentioning earlier. I've included these items in other categories. The MOC and Terabyte are included in the auto section, the Avenger and Sparrow are included in the aircraft section, and the Avisa will be located in the boat section. Again, I'm doing this so as to not count these items twice. Alright, finally, the last category is clothing. Probably the most boring category, but costly nonetheless. Now, I have these broken down into 8 different categories for which I'll give the totals for each. Number 1 is going to be the tops. Everything that is worn from the waist up. Tops are going to run you $35,890,022. Pants are going to come in at $7,693,050. Number 3, shoes, $6,578,310. Number 4, hats at $12,837,825. Number 5, accessories, $5,192,695. Number 6, glasses, $3,934,235. Number 7, outfits, and this is going to be the most expensive, which kind of makes sense. This will include things like the Arena Wars outfits, which are outrageously expensive. This category is going to cost you $58,991,090. And lastly, number 8, masks. And this will cost you $19,668,645. In total, if you were to purchase all the clothing in this game, you'll need to save up approximately $150,823,417. And I say approximately because, as I mentioned at the beginning, there were some clothing items that were marked as free at the time I collected all this data. So, in all honesty, this number's probably on the low end. Also, keep in mind that there were some clothing items that are offered for both male and female. If these items had a different cost value, I always selected the most expensive of the two. There's really not a lot to say regarding the clothing items other than there's a lot. This was by far the most time-consuming section to put together. And in all honesty, this is probably the category I'm the least aware of. If you know my channel, I've been wearing the same outfit since I started playing this game, and although I still like utilizing some of the special outfits from time to time, I really have no idea what exactly I own as far as each item of clothing. I mean, if you're able to spin the wheel at the casino and you end up getting a clothing item, are you really going to go through your wardrobe and try it on? Anyway, if you're a clothing aficionado, then this whole section will be right up your alley. Okay, so what does this all translate to? Well, it's the final overall cost. So, drum roll please. After weeks of calculating, tabulating, extrapolating, even pontificating, the grand total to purchase every item in GTA Online as of January 1st, 2025 is $1,165,608,686. That's a lot of money. So, as I said, I'm including the actual spreadsheet I used to calculate this total, and I do think if you're a serious GTA Online gamer, this list is going to be very beneficial. Having the cost of each item handy is certainly helpful, but the real reason I think this list is valuable is being able to highlight items you already have and or wish to purchase in the future. For me, I'm trying to purchase all the vehicles in the supercar category, and I'm using this list to check off vehicles I already own. So when certain vehicles become available or go on sale, I can easily just refer to this list and see if I need to buy. Alright, so that's my friend. Thank you for watching. As always, if you like this video and want to help out, please subscribe, give a thumbs up, and, well, let me know what you think. Are you surprised at the overall total? Is it higher than you expected or lower than you expected? And will you be utilizing the included spreadsheet? If so, drop a comment below and let everyone know. Until next time, be happy, be well, save my TV, the one Maestro.